It's called digital abandonment. You're allowing people to find other people when they should be so focused on the value that you're giving, but it isn't a them problem or an algorithm problem. It's a, yo, I'm just in my head and I can't stay present. It's not hard to be consistent when you're yourself because you are yourself every single day.
Welcome back to our second session of day 2 of the Creator Summit. I am so excited about this next guest who is a personal branding expert. We're going to talk about burnout, authenticity, and building a brand that feels right for you and real for you. So I'm excited to welcome Nicky Saunders to the stage today for our second session. Nicky, how are you?
What's poppin'? How you feeling?
Good. How are you?
I can't complain. I can't complain at
I,
all. I'm here.
I like it. Well, I'm glad you're here. Super glad you're here. For those
Oh,
who don't know Nicky Saunders, what is it that we should know about you?
oh, very simple. I'm a kid from Queens, New York. Shout out to everybody who's in New York or the
Love it.
surrounding areas. Um, I am a geek in real life that just happens to like hats and sneakers and things like that. But I really try to help those who have an idea and create a global brand from that, right? Through
Love it.
content, through being on social media. So what got me started was working with this motivational speaker called Eric Thomas. I saw him on YouTube. He started yelling at me. I was like, why are you yelling at me? And then I binged on his videos, ended up in his community, and got granted the opportunity to run his social and grew it from 300K to over 2 million followers. And so we're here. So I'm just a geek that finds social media tools, content tools, and just help other people from the stuff that I've done with clients.
So cool. What a great story, by the way, from 300,000 to 2 million. I think everybody in this room would be like, wow, like what did that take? What were like, and again, there's no secret. The secret is there's no secrets, but like
Right, right.
what was your mindset, or like how did you think about growing from 300K to 200 or 2 million on that? What were you focusing on? What were the core tenets of what you're building?
The same that I do to this day, which is focus on the audience, right?
Mhm.
I think as brand owners, we always focus on what are the needs, like what are the goals, followers, KPIs, revenue, and like we disconnect from the audience. The second that I focused on the audience, people felt seen and heard.
Yeah.
And the content started to work, right? So it wasn't necessarily any like social media hacks doing it in this kind of format. It was speaking directly to the audience based off what they need and only creating content that they're like, you know what, I needed that today. Right. And that's how I've been going for like from that day till today.
And I swear I did not set this up, but this has been a theme of every single conversation that we've had.
Come on.
Are the businesses that succeed are the businesses that really understand people.
Yeah.
And I think that you hit on something super key that I'd love to drill into a little bit over the next little bit, which is the businesses that I see stall out, they think about what is best for them.
Hmm.
They think about, oh, I'm trying to make X number of dollars this year, or I'm trying to hit this KPI, or I'm trying to get this number of followers. And it becomes so self-focused, so self-centered focus that they
Hmm.
forget about the people who are actually driving the business, which is the audience or which is the members. And I think that has been a theme all day today, all day yesterday, in every single session. How do we think about connecting to people authentically, Nikki? How do you think about it? What are things that you're kind of thinking about as you're making that the main focus?
So I try to be a fan, like if I'm speaking about me, I try to be a fan of me, right?
Mm,
I normally create for the old me. Now, I'm an introvert. Like I said, I'm trying to figure out my path of staying inside and being to self to now this crazy world of social media, right? So I wish when I was starting up that there was a person who looked like me, sounded like me, maybe have some of the same background, whatever, same of the small sense of humor, uh, to just teach me, right? Like in one location. And so, cool. I'm speaking to the introverts, the people who don't necessarily like to be in front of camera, the people who are like, this is super overwhelming. So I'm trying to understand me first because we normally speak to ourselves first. I'm trying to understand me first, super self awareness. And then I'm like, okay, this is where I'll do some research. This is where, okay, here's the basics 24 to 55. This, they want to do this. They have this type of brand. They don't, they, they struggle with consistency. They struggle with monetizing. Okay, great. Then I'll go into AI and be like, I'm gonna give you all of this, hit that deep research. What else can you tell me about it? What are their pain points? What are they struggling with? What are their desires? Because all of that is going to be content for me. I don't have to go outside of that and try to figure anything out. I go, what is my audience struggling with? And I'm just going to create content off of that. And that's where they go, "Yo, how did you know I needed that right now? Like like we have never met before. Like, why did you know this?" So it's always for me, the first step is going to be self-reflection because we always, for most of us, right? When we're talking about personal branding, is yo, I'm speaking to my old self in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form. Not maybe completely, but in some way, shape, or form, I'm speaking to my old self.
Yeah, I had a mentor once tell me, he's like, "I'm not reading your mind, I've just been where you've been before."
That's a fact.
And
That's a
and I
fact.
was like, I love the frame of, like, talking to an older version of yourself or a younger version of yourself, a version of yourself 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite creators are people who don't forget that, and they're like,
Facts.
"What did I need 5 years ago? How was I feeling 5 years ago?" And this is where, again, the theme of this whole summit is empathy as a superpower in business.
Hmm.
It's like, can I remember what it felt like not knowing what to do? Can I remember what it felt like, putting out a piece of content where I'm like, "Everybody's gonna hate this." Like, this bully from high school who I haven't talked to for 16 years is gonna come back and, like, make fun of me again, or my XYZ person is gonna see this and I'm scared. It's like, do I remember those feelings? And can I just create content that is, like, kind of a love letter to
Right.
that older version of myself that's
Right.
struggling or in a hard spot or doesn't know what to do, and how do I just serve that? And I think that's my favorite type of content creator. So, Nikki, we're gonna have an awesome conversation. If that's the
Let's
baseline
go.
of what we're talking about today, that feels like, again, like you couldn't have known that was the theme of what we were talking about all day yesterday and today,
Mm-mm.
because
Mm-mm.
there's like this is the stuff that actually works, right? It's not like there's not like a hack to go get a bunch of followers. The hack is like talking to people in a way where they feel like, how'd you know? How'd you know that was the thing I
Well,
needed?"
well, there are hacks, but we're talking about long lasting relationships and long lasting brands
Mhm.
that will continue to bring long lasting revenue. There's no hack for that, right? There's true understanding of a person that is on the other side of the phone, the computer,
Yep.
at your events or whatever. That's the true understanding of that.
Yeah, it's true. How are you practically doing that? So, like, are you, like, having a conversation with younger Nikki? Are you, like, closing your eyes and meditating? Like, how are you actually doing that? How are you thinking about that kind of content that old Nikki needs when you're thinking about creating your content?
So what's crazy? I have this ritual that every day I journal, right? And so when I journal, I go with three things. I go three things that I'm proud of, three things that I'm learning and things that are just on my mind that I'm like I still want to know more about, right? In these conversations, there's something that is a desire or a want or a struggle that my audience has. Because I'm not really too different because for me, how I look at myself, it's other people may look at it like, "Oh, Nikki is an expert at this and that and da da da." I'm like, I'm a student of the game. I'm still trying to learn. I'm just doing things without the care of failing or how I look, right? So in this journal thing, then I'm going to AI and being like, "Hey, can you break this down into different content ideas based off of my audience?" Right? So it takes my day of like regular smegular day, like not specifically speaking about content ideas or business ideas, like just speaking. And it breaks it all the way down into what my audience may need, what I could write about, different ideas. So I'm taking that and then I'm applying it to my day of, okay, is this a YouTube video? Is this, a written post? Is this a short? What are we creating? How do I feel today? Because I'm big on, you got to work in your natural, not really force yourself to create content. Just work in your natural. If today you don't feel like recording, then write it at least. Take a screenshot of it, put it as a picture. There's your visual side of things. So that's kind of how on a practical side that I'll come up with these ideas on a regular basis.
Okay, so 2 things that came out of that that I wanna talk about. One
Let's
is
go.
you said something about, like, not caring about what people think about you or,
Mhm.
like, not caring, like, how'd you get there? Like, 'cause that feels like a massive block for people that's like, "Man," but I actually Nikki, if I'm just being real, I actually care a lot about what people think about me,
Yeah.
and this is like, there's a big blocker. How do you, like, get in that mindset of like, "Alright, like, let's go. I'm gonna do this even though, I care a lot about what people think about me."
Yeah. So first, you gotta humble yourself, right? When we start, we swear that we have like celebrity problems once we start posting. Like, yo, all these trolls are gonna come and all the negativity is gonna come in. If in the beginning, if they don't like us, they continue to scroll. We don't necessarily see the feedback, right? We then start getting in our head. So the low numbers mean they don't like me, right? We make up the different scenarios where there's nothing in a rule book, law book, nothing that says, hey, these numbers mean you suck. That doesn't, there's nowhere in there, right? So the biggest thing isn't necessarily what people think, it's what we think. We're our biggest critics. And it's a deeper work of like, how do I move myself aside to be like, okay, I could post this, right? The great thing about social media is like we could post it, run away. Like I'll post, I'll be like, okay, I'm out for like a couple of minutes, come back, see if I need a comment or nothing. Like people will just scroll. Like, and then I go and I do it again tomorrow. And then I go and I do it again tomorrow. Like no one, I could bet anybody who's watching this and email them, put in the chat, whatever you want. Do you remember a piece of content from 3 weeks ago? Like, that's
Yeah,
just
so
where
good.
the world goes. Like, we're in a huge testing ground when it comes to posting. And so, yes, eventually, will we get a person who's like, why you do this? Why are you talking about this? Yes, eventually, right? But the crazy part about it is there will be 20 other people that are saying amazing things about you. Other uh validating points between your stats once you get to that part that shows that you're doing an amazing job. Us as humans just focus on that negative side. And if we just change it to where like, okay, you said something crazy and I'm not used to that. Cause even me today, like I'm not used to that. I don't like it, but then I have to go, yo, I created this world. The more consistent that I am, I created this world of people who accept me for me, right? Who really listen to what I have to say, even though sometimes I think I'm not saying anything special. I don't think sometimes I'm better than all these people, but it doesn't matter. They rock with me. And so my purpose now is just to only focus on those people and the rest of the people could kick rocks.
Yeah. It takes a lot of courage to get there. Um, you said this line, "I'm creating a group of people who accept me for me."
Yeah.
And this is where I think authenticity is so key,
Mhm.
because if I start creating inauthentically, then
Yeah.
people are accepting a version of me that's fake or
Right.
not real or that's performative. So talk to me a little bit about how you learn to be authentic or how you have the courage to show up authentically, because I think that's maybe where some of this fear comes in a real way where it's like, well, if I'm my true self, everybody's gonna reject me. But if I'm like this version that I carefully craft out into this world, and this
Yeah.
character that I create, maybe people will like that better. But talk to me about being authentic.
So it 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 goes into also a little bit of the burnout conversation because it's easier to be you than anybody else. It takes
Mm,
so much energy to be a character, right? Because now you're trying to figure out what they like in a real way. Like, yo, do I have to look a certain kind of way? Do I have to wear a certain kind of thing? Do I have to speak a certain like I don't know how to code switch if I wanted to, right? Like you gonna get this, yeah, means and what's popping regardless of where I'm at, right? But it's the way that I wake up, I can't turn that off. You don't have to. When you create your own world, right? You don't have to turn that off. And then people the crazy part is that authenticity is rare and we hear that and we like kind of down like yeah, authenticity is this nice trending word now. No, it's a real thing because there are so many people who are fake, who have to play a character when all you have to do is be like, "Hey, I'm not feeling it today. I'm just letting you know this. I'm posting something, but I really don't feel like it." Boom. Do you know how relatable that content is? Do you know, like, people are like, "Yo, I haven't posted in, like, 9 days because of that." Like, I don't even know what to post. It it goes down to, like, sitting and being like, what do I wanna put out there? What don't I wanna put out there?" Right? I think understanding your boundaries of, like, what I'm not speaking about will help you move more authentic, right?
mm,
Like, I'm big on, like, my private I'm a public private person. Like, you go on my social, you be like, "Yo, I know Nikki," right? But you don't necessarily know too much about my private life because that's something I keep sacred, right?
yeah.
I'll do that, but that's a boundary, right? Um, everything else, everything that I may look up, every like, I think, and this is where I get out of my way, I think the stuff that I look up everybody knows, right? Come to find out, me just posting about it, they're like, "Yo, I never knew that." Really? It's like it's all over. But getting out of my way and just showing, "Hey, this is what I found. This is what I did. This is what it is." Now, I'm not saying super authentic on some, "This is what I ate," unless you're a food reviewer. And shout out to y'all because I wanna be y'all, but I care about my weight. Okay? I care I care about my weight. So, uh I'm not putting every single thing, but I know I put out the thing that I love the most, which is AI stuff, content stuff, branding stuff. I legit do this. Like that's my thing. And I'm grateful for that the platforms that they've created that I can show that, post that, and people watch it. Like that's it. I don't think too further out of that. I don't think, yo, what's going to bring in the numbers? What's going to be? I'm battling with myself of how can I show up every day as me? Let me just post that and seeing the reaction of like, yo, you stepping in in your way allows me to feel a little bit more comfortable doing it as me too. That's what it's worth. That's all you need is that one person that goes, yo, what you do, I see it. That's it. Like, I'm good. Like, even if it's in the background, majority and that's the crazy part about it. Like, you don't know who is watching you, right? Majority of us don't even hit like on everything that we like, comment on everything that we comment on. But that doesn't mean people aren't watching. So I feel okay creating a world and posting the way that I am because I know that I'm supposed to be serving a certain group of people, not everybody, but a certain group of people, and they're eventually going to watch. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's so good. The thing that you said that's gonna probably haunt me in a positive way for a long time is it takes so much more energy to be a character, and it takes no energy to be yourself.
It
And,
does.
like, that contributing to burnout, or the relationship between that and burnout is so interesting to me. I've never thought about it in that way, but it's like the amount of effort it takes for me to play a character, or to play a role, or to code switch is a real thing, and it's like, if you think about, like, your life as a battery, like, every time you're spending that energy, it's just gone, and you're
Facts.
trying to think about, like, "Alright, what's the character like, how does this character show up in this world?" It's like, "Oh, how do I wanna show up?" And just ask that question. I think it's super interesting.
Mhm.
Um, I wanna circle back to something just to get a little bit of clarity here. You talked about if I don't feel it, like, I kind of, like, go with the feeling here a little bit,
Mhm.
and, are you saying that even if you're not feeling it, you still post something, you're not creating that day? Because for me, it's like, "Oh, Nikki, guess what? I'm not feeling it every day, and so I'm never
Ha.
posting." And so
Yeah,
what's the
no.
balance of, like, feeling that flow versus, like, if I were just to trust that feeling of, like, not
Yeah.
feeling it, like, I'm not gonna feel it for a long time, and I'll probably never post anything. What's the
S
balance of those 2 things?
Repurposing is an amazing thing, okay? So, uh, I'll probably if we're looking at a whole week, I'll probably create something new 2, 3 times. The
Yep.
rest is repurpose, right? It's about creating a really dope system, meaning, like, figure out your main content, right? For me, I love going live. That's my thing, right? So I'll go live on Monday, probably 3, 4 hours. Don't judge me. I just like going live. Okay. Um, and then I'll repurpose that. So, meaning I'll use the audio, get that transcribed. I'll use that as written post. I'll take clips from the live, post that as Instagram posts, LinkedIn posts, YouTube shorts, whatever. Take those clips, put that as YouTube videos. I've created for majority of the week if I wanted to. Now that doesn't mean that doesn't pop up and be like, okay, now I feel like creating something, so I'll record this or I'll make this. But as long as I have this one piece of content that when I'm not necessarily feeling it, I can always lean back to it. Or even if anybody's created content for more than 3 months, you could just repurpose some of your old stuff. Ain't nobody seen it all. We like the algorithm doesn't love us as much as they used to. So we can show any of the old stuff. So when I am feeling it, I'll create something new. When I'm not feeling it and I'm fully aware of that, I'm repurposing something, right? I'm going back into the archives. I'm going looking at the latest lives or lives 3 weeks ago or going back to some of my old posts. Can I at least say that a little bit different or just flat out just copy paste it and putting it there because I know not everybody's seen it. So it's just that kind of that cycle of when I am feeling it, taking advantage of that. But when I'm not feeling it, going back to my old stuff because not everybody's seen it.
I love that. So let's go back in time to Nikki before Nikki was a creator and Nikki wanted to be a creator,
Yeah.
and you didn't have anything to repurpose back then. So, like,
Yeah.
what was the beginning like when you began creating content? And probably like the like the monsters inside of your head were probably bigger back then, which is like,
Yeah.
man, I'm really gonna get judged for this, or I really shouldn't be doing this. So there's somebody who's doing it better.
Mhm.
Uh and so like what should I be doing if I'm watching you right now and I'm like, "Love it. I love that you can repurpose, but listen, Nikki, I've got
I don't have
nothing.
anything.
I got
Yeah.
nothing right now, and I'm
Right.
scared out of my mind."
Okay.
Kinda talk to me about, like, beginning Nikki, showing up being yourself. How would you think about doing this again if you were kinda
Mhm.
starting over again, today?
So the crazy thing is all of us has been on the Zoom call somehow, some way, right? So I would actually go back to some of the Zoom calls and transcribe it and see if there's any value about it and just close my eyes and post, right? Two, um, I would share, and this is how I started really, I would share the things I learned. So whether it was a interview that I was inspired by, and I just take that clip and post it on my own stuff and put my own perspective. If I reacted to it in some way, if I put maybe a written side of that, I would take the things that I'm watching, that I'm reading, and I would put that as a post because now it is more of I'm sharing you the journey of where I'm at. I don't have it all together. I don't have all my content, right? But what I am doing is I'm learning, right? I'm trying to figure out this. I'll get on, I'll create a video and be like, you know what? Cool. I'm I'm just going to record this. This is what I want to say, post it, and then try to get 1% better. If you don't have anything to repurpose, this is where you leverage other people's content, right? This is where, okay, I'm taking a quote from somebody's book and I'm then reacting to it and I'm giving my spin to it. I'm talking about whatever is on the news if you're that's your type of brand and I'm giving my perspective on it, right? And so I'm creating a catalog of at least, you know, a month, 2 months worth of content that then once that 2 months hits, oh, I could repurpose some of the old stuff now. Because there's certain I could I could say be consistent every single day on my social media. I just have to learn how to say it in different ways. So I could do a video and then I could do a picture of me looking stressed. I ain't feeling like being consistent today, but I still posted, right? There's different ways of looking at the same topic and creating in different content formats. So that beginning side is being okay with looking crazy because you're going to look crazy. Go back to anybody's first post. Go back to anybody's first podcast. Go back to Mighty Network's first platform. Like we all have to start somewhere. Our version 1 is never the greatest, but we have to do version 1 to get to version 10, to get to
Yeah.
version 20, get to like it, but we have to see the problem is like we really get in our heads of like, oh, it sucks, right? It is not going to look good but how are you going to know if they even like it because we're so focused on how it looks that we're not we have to remember we're not creating for ourselves, we're creating for others. And some people just want our raw thoughts and recordings and you know the writings like they just want that. We want the lower thirds and the transitions and the sound effects and the great lighting and everything like that. Cat videos still go viral with
20 years
bad
later.
lighting. Yeah, like with bad lighting, with horrible angles. Like they're the look at some of the viral video. They're done terrible. And yet you're like, what I have to have this. No, you don't. No, you
Yeah.
don't. You just have to be present. Presence takes over everything.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You said this, we're not creating for ourselves, we're creating for others.
Yeah.
And so if that's the truth, then how we feel about what we're creating doesn't matter. It matters what other people might feel. And I think this is a good moment from yesterday, which is like, hey, have you thought about like who's benefiting by you not posting? Nobody.
Listen,
But who
listen.
might benefit from you posting is huge.
I always say this where we are allowing and let me be blunt and sorry, like I told you, I can't code switch. But we are allowing our audience that we care about to watch trash because we don't show up, right? It isn't that they're better than us. It isn't that they have better information, better content, better products or services, is that they're present, right? And so a lot of us are like top tier creators, top tier business owners, top like we have something inside of us and we get so caught up and being like, no, I'm not present. I'm not, like we've this is a relationship. Like if we were best friends, I would call you every day. Yo, how you feeling? Yo, boo, boo, boo. When I stop talking to you, you're gonna be like, okay, that's weird. Hold on. Let me check up. Maybe go and I'm not picking up. Hmm. Okay. Few days pass by. You start this routine of where you were used to me talking to you every single day to like, okay, I'm going to go do other stuff. I'm going to go talk to other people. Right. And you allowed that, like that gap. It's called digital abandonment. You're allowing people to find other people when they should be so focused on the value that you're giving, but it isn't a them problem or an algorithm problem. It's a yo, I'm just in my head and I can't stay present. It's not hard to be consistent when you're yourself because you are yourself every single day.
So good. That's so good. Okay, you talked about having a, and this is me not code switching,
Oh,
a dope system.
yeah.
What is
Oh,
your system? Like, how are you thinking about this? Talk us practically, like what your system is for creating and posting content.
okay. So, um, we have clearly different days of the week, right? So Mondays, I'm focusing on my live, right? Nothing else really matters. I'm repurposing some other content on the other platforms because on YouTube I go live. I think of my lives as like different segments so I can create for the rest of the week, right? So I'll have whatever's a trending, everybody's people talking about, right? Why? Because I know you need to stay relevant with your audience. So there's that. Then I'm creating like, what are we trying out? What AI tool for in my brand? What AI tool are we trying out together? So a community piece that people see it in happening in real time and then a reaction like this is what I'm watching, let's watch this together, right? That's Monday. That's getting repurposed throughout the week. That's turned into a newsletter. Those different segments are turned into a newsletter, right? And then throughout the week I'm going and may take screenshots. I'll do a green screen about whatever else is relevant happening, so something that's doesn't take too much time, right? Because I spend a lot of time on Monday. And something that doesn't spend too much time, I'm doing the green screen stuff. And then also, once again, I have my daily habit of my journaling. So anything else that I'm not doing, I'm going into my journal entries and seeing what different ideas that I can pull from that. And then also I have like different AI tool, like I have this pin on that records everything that I say. And so all I gotta do is go, "Hey, what did I say today that would be worth posting on X, Threads, LinkedIn?" Right? I try to keep my my content kind of in this flow so I don't have to worry about, yo, what am I going to create today? What can do I have the energy to create today? Like I'm big on protecting my energy. When those days I don't feel like it, I won't, right? I'll just post some old stuff. But I've created different pockets. Like today is YouTube day, so I have to record a video for YouTube. I have certain days, like Mondays live. You Wednesdays is YouTube for the Friday video. Cool. I have certain days that I record, other days I chill. Right? Tuesdays is like we're not doing anything because you just did a 3-hour live yesterday. Chill out. That's not happening. So that's kind of that's kind of my system. Repurpose the live, create something new in the middle of the week, repurpose everything, low friction content so you can so I can stay consistent.
Okay, a couple people are asking, what's the pin that you wear? Tell us about that.
Oh, the limitless pin. This one, this thing, right?
Awesome. Yep.
Super simple. It's great because like I said, it records everything that I say plus everything that I watch, and then it has its own like built AI system in its app. And I have certain prompts that I'm just like, okay, one, pull out all the content ideas based off what I saw. Pull out all the content ideas based off what I said. Weekly recaps. Yo, what am I not seeing about myself? What have I not done yet based off what I said? What is my to-do list? Like I create a whole Notion. I use Notion for also AI transcripts. Like my journaling is done through all audio notes inside of Notion. Then I use that to be like my content bank. So it has all my ideas in it. Eh, Yeah, that's between those two, I'm never running out of ideas.
Incredible, incredible. Okay, you just said you really work on protecting your energy, but I'm
Yeah,
also picking up that you have a routine.
yeah,
And so what's the balance between, like, sticking to your routine every single day, but also giving yourself the grace if, like, you're not feeling it on a particular day? Like, what are the non-negotiables in the routine?
yeah,
And then how are you kind of, like, flowing in the energy kind of separately? Because, I know myself well enough that if I, like, don't have some of these routine things going, like, the
yeah.
energy might we might be spiraling into outer space real quick, in protecting the energy. So tell me the tension between routine and then protecting your energy.
Yeah, so I am that type of person that doesn't like using the word routine, right? Because that feels I'm one of those people that like certain words like niche and routine because it boxes you, right? You feel like you got to do something all the time. But I do like the word non-negotiable. So I have these 5 behaviors that creates a creative balance in my life, right? So move, breathe, learn, create, and connect. So these are my non-negotiables every single day. I have to move in some way, shape, or form. If that's a clarity walk, if that's getting on the bike, if that's doing push-ups, something that creates some type of physical activity in some way, shape, or form, right? Because that triggers my mind. Like if I'm not moving, if I'm only sitting here, like I'm a creator, I could sit here for a very long time. Okay. But I know that's not healthy. So there's some type of movement that I have to do, right? Breathe. I have to take a break every single day, whether that is meditation, at least 10 minutes, that's prayer, that's writing, journaling, whatever it may be. That's a non-negotiable, right? Learning something new every day, right? That's one of the things that I do to just keep me sharp. Create, regardless, even if it's a repurposed content. I'm creating something every single day, right? And then I'm connecting with somebody in my community. I'm connecting with family, friends, just to keep that personal side of things. Because even though I'm an introvert, I can be in my own world. Uh, there still needs to be energy from other people. With with that, right? Five behaviors that I do, it allows me to stay balanced, right? Is that creative balance of like you take a break, you focus on yourself, but you also focus on your business. You also focus on your creative work because that's where it is. So create could be create in the business, right? Learn can be something learn in the business and things like that. So there throughout the day, this is happening, and I don't have to be like, "I need this, like, long break, 3 days of doing nothing." If that's your thing, cool. I have a recharge station downstairs, like, I have a hammock, literally, like, 10 minutes, I'm chilling in the hammock, doing whatever I need to do just to decompress. When I'm up here, this is the learn and create section. If I'm going on my walk, I'm connecting with somebody, I'm calling somebody, plus I'm moving. So that's a everyday thing for me.
That's amazing. So that I love the reframe of non-negotiables versus routine. I'm the same way where I feel like allergic to like so you're saying I have to do it. I'm gonna show you how I don't have to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Uh,
It's hard.
yeah, I'm with you on that. Okay, so burnout is a huge topic that
Yeah.
comes up in the creator world all the time.
Mhm.
You talked about it a little bit. It feels like this routine is part of avoiding that burnout,
Yeah.
being authentic in your true self. Talk to me a little bit about how you avoid burnout and how you keep like sustaining doing this work
Yeah.
uh, over the long haul.
So last year I had a really, really, really bad burnout because I didn't have none of those behaviors, right? I was in the whole grind situation, create, be on all these different platforms, do all these businesses, all of that, right? And I just burned out really, really bad. Um, the thing that I learned from that was the recovery takes so much longer than the maintenance, right? Where that
Mm.
the fact that I have these 5 behaviors now, some people will be like, "I don't have time to do this one. I don't have time to do this one." You won't you won't have time to do anything if you're in the recovery phase. You won't feel like working on your business, creating anything, talking to anybody when you're completely burned out, right? And so for me, it was, what do I have to put in place to stay sane? Not even just like like protecting the energy, and like, how can I go through every day and not feel drained? Because there has been multiple days in my life that at the end of the day, I'm like, "Alright." And I believe in, like, yo, going to till you're empty, but I get that. But that's like in life. That's not every single day. You don't have to feel like that every single day, right? If you focus, and I believe there's one thing that I do, that I learned, which is these 90-minute sprints, right? Where I'm turning everything off. I have my focus mode where, like, there's no distractions besides my mother, because my mother, she's old. So she calls me, there's a reason, right? Sometimes she just wants to talk, but there's a reason, right? So the only person that can get through on my phone is my mom. I have this thing called the brick, right? They don't sponsor me, but this has been a huge game changer where I tap this on my phone and it blocks all social media uh platforms, right? Anything that would distract me, because I am I have ADHD too. So like, I can put focus mode on my phone, but I know I can still go to Instagram. I know I can still go on these different platforms. So using a device that completely blocks off every single thing, putting on a timer, right? I have a physical uh timer situation, not using my phone,
I have that
physical
same one.
timer. Yeah. Game changer. Like,
Ancient.
when you go more analog and like focus on just whatever you may have to do, have your to-do list already, and going in that 90 minutes, that's way more effective than your 8-hour shift at a 9 to 5, because you're solely focused on that. So I do like 2 of those, right? I'm done for the day. What are we doing, right? I can do everything else, but I had to remove that, yo, this has to be done all day, everything else, boom, boom, boom. And like I said, I have ADHD, so I'm like doing 7 different projects at the same time because I think it has to happen, and I'm not finishing anything. So to avoid the burnout, I started bringing in 90-minute sprints, and you can start with 30, right? Like, don't go OD, like, d d do what you can. 30-minute sprints, 20-minute sprints, hours, like, whatever you may do, right? Getting those 5 behaviors in place, and you're going to see a change of like, "Oh, this doesn't bother me as much. Oh, I can do this way quicker. Oh, like, my energy is so much different, and I've finished 9 projects compared to last year where I only did 2, right?
Yeah,
So it's putting certain systems in place, making yourself a priority, and making the goal the priority. Like, your goal could be like building an amazing community that finally makes revenue. Cool. All right. That 90 minutes that you have today, focus on that. Like, what are you like, did you talk to them today? Or did you just think they did the courses? Like, talk to them. Go. So the system that you create for yourself is so important when it comes to brand. If you have no system, or if you're like you, you don't know my life, Nikki. I got this, that, and the third. Non-negotiables. We talked about it.
yeah,
Non-negotiables.
yeah.
And communicating with your family and friends about the non-negotiables is going to be important.
That's good. Okay, so for somebody who's been creating content maybe consistently or inconsistently for a long time and they're
Yep.
still not getting the attention, what are your thoughts for people like that? Because I run into these people all the time when I do live sessions or have conversations where it's like, listen, I've been writing this newsletter for a long time, or I've been
Yeah.
trying to write this content for a long time and nobody's paying attention to it.
Yeah.
How would you diagnose that? And what would you recommend for somebody who's like, hey, I've got the grit, I'm showing up, but nobody's
Mhm.
actually paying attention, and it's been happening for a long enough period of time.
So there's two things. There's one, do you have a feedback loop, right?
Mm,
Meaning when you write something, create something, are you honestly putting it through a system where it analyzes the analytics and it gives you suggestions? Or are you just creating the same thing over and over and over again, hoping and praying that someone will finally watch it, right? And this is why I love where we're at with AI, where it's not necessarily the replacing side, it is the assisting side for us. So the feedback loop I've been talking about is like, all right, let's say I posted on YouTube, right? And it got bad views, right? Whatever your bad views numbers is. I'm taking, okay, let me get all the analytics that matter in that platform. Let me transcribe it, put it in there. Cool. Can you tell me what I did wrong? What did I do good? Start with positive. Don't because if you beat yourself with negative, it's going to go crazy. What did I do positive? What can be improved and what should I focus on in the next post, right? That goes along with this. Like you should have a database of your content categorized based off the content like formats, meaning if you talked about lifestyle, boom, this is your content for lifestyle. If you talked about tips and tricks, boom, this is your tips and tricks situation. If you uh do quotes, this is your quotes section. And you should have feedback on each of those posts so that when you do another one, cool. Here are the suggestions that I haven't done before. So, do you have an honest feedback loop? Right. And you can put this in notes, you can put this in Notion, you can put whatever your favorite note situation is, put that in there. But have an honest feedback loop about because every single day you should be getting 1% better with your
mm,
content. You shouldn't be creating this same type of stuff every single day, right? And then the second one is your audience. How good do you know your audience? And understanding like you're growing with your audience, right? Like what I've noticed is that our audience, once we establish who our audience is, our audience doesn't necessarily get younger. It gets older with us, right? It stays with us. So
mm,
that means we evolve. Like figuring out where your audience is at this moment. Like figuring out, yo, maybe they don't need this part no more, right? Maybe they need another side. Am I open to creating something new based off what where my audience is? Or am I just doing the same thing that used to work last year and the year before that? Because we can get very emotionally attached to that. Like, this was working for a season. Season. Everything has seasons. So feedback loop and really figuring out uh where my audience is and not being emotionally attached is key.
mm. That's so good. Um, this has been such a great session, Nikki. I have 2 pages of notes, which is more notes
Oh,
than I have at every single session. I'm so glad that we got to have this talk today. Um,
likewise.
for somebody who's right on the edge,
Mhm,
and they feel like, "I have this sneaking suspicion that this burnout monster might be right on the edge,"
mhm.
and the phrase that you said is, "Recovery takes longer than maintenance."
Yes.
Like what is your kind of thoughts for somebody who's at that phase where it's like, I think it might be coming on. It's like I'm not fully blown yet here, but what are some things that you would recommend doing so that people don't hit that point where they need a recovery? Um,
So here's the thing. This literally just happened to one of my friends. Uh she hit me was like, "Yo, how do you know?" that you're about to burn out? I say you already are if you're asking that,
Mhm.
right? There's levels, right? You may not level 10, like I'm out, I'm done, out of here. Like, but if you're asking, that means you're already there, right? Take a step back. This is where you have to go what I call on skeleton like schedule. You may have to hit that bare minimum for a couple of days, couple of weeks, that at least your presence is there, but you're not running and gunning the whole time. Because this is where you have to sit with yourself and self-assess of like, one, how did I get here? Right? Two, how can what do I need in this moment? And that's different for other people. Like some people may be like, yo, I just need time to think. So push out a lot of things, skeleton mode, like skeleton schedule. Push out a lot of things so you can have time to think. And it could be think about like, okay, I'm really burnt out. That's thinking. Like, yo, acknowledging it is thinking, right? But taking that time to assess yourself, creating that schedule for you, that routine, those non-negotiables, whatever your word may be, and then getting to the place of like, I don't feel exhausted every single day. I feel happy doing what I'm doing again. And that takes a little bit of time. But if you're on that edge, you're probably on level 1 or 2 of burnout already.
Mm.
And one, welcome. We've all been there. So you're really not alone, right? Some more often than others. But if you are willing to put yourself as a priority for the first time in a minute, I promise you is going to get better. It's just those non-negotiables that you have to put into your life. So at least if you're in the chat, just put at least one non-negotiable in there. If you're watching this replay, one non-negotiable. Let's just start there. I'm not asking for 5, but just one, and we can start from there.
I like that. I'd actually love people to do that. If you're listening to this, what's one non-negotiable that you want to put into your system today? We'll kind of go through a couple of these in a minute, but Nikki, last thing I really want to dive into here is um, thinking back to the very beginning. I think there's a lot of people here. I've been watching the chat. People are really loving this session.
Let's
There's a lot of
go.
people who are like, "Hey, I think I might be where Nikki's at like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I would love to be where Nikki's at now." Give us
Yeah.
just like one final thought of like what do we need to do? What do we need to think about? Like what's one kind of wrap it all together for us of like
Hmm.
what's the love letter to the Nikki 5, 6 years ago?
You're good as you are. And when
Mm,
you accept that, it'll start to work. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I, in the beginning, was, and mind you, when I jumped into this, I worked for like Dr. Eric Thomas is a pastor, a huge motivational speaker, things like that. Also, granted, let me stay here. I came from the Navy too, right? When Shout out to all my military folks. You don't know who you are once you get out because you're trained to be one way. Then I worked for a motivational speaker who was a pastor, and I'm like all the way the opposite of what he was. Like I'm like and what he believed at the time, right? And so I had to come to myself and was trying all these different things. It's okay to try different things. That's the thing. You have to find your voice. What you're doing right now, you don't have to get it right, but you have to be willing to try to be like, this is who I am, and I'm not turning around. Like, you always gonna see me the same way because this is where I feel the most happy is, and it's going to take time, but when you find that, yo, people like you. Like, people really like you. They may not say it every day, but they like you. But the first part is, like, you gotta like yourself, and that sounds very cliche, and it's like, "Alright, Nikki, whatever." But I'm telling you, the second that you realize, like, "Yo, I'm cool the way that I am. I'm dope with the way that I am," the content starts to flow, the creation starts to flow, the different business opportunities start to come through, you're you're like, "Where all I had to do was be myself? This is crazy. Like, I should have done this before. This is wild." Trust me, it's going to make sense because you're creating your own world and you're inviting people in it, and people wanna be accepted, seen, and heard, and you are creating that change that you wanna see.
Mm. So good. Nothing else to add there. Where can people find you, Nikki?
Man, I'm this is Nicky's Nicky with a S. Pretty much everywhere, but I'm extremely live on YouTube, Instagram, and Threads. Actually, I really like Threads, so that's where I'm at. And of course, you know, we got our Mighty Networks community deeper than the brand. Shout out to Mighty Networks for doing this whole thing. Everybody just shows fires and love for Mighty Networks for just pulling up this whole creator summit because they didn't have to do this. So this is fire on them.
Amazing. Nikki, thanks so much for being generous with your time today. This was so fun. I'm walking away with a ton personally. I know that the chat is as well. I appreciate you being here with us today.
No problem.
All right. Talk to you later.